Do I have time to shoot a vlog?
No!
Alright, we're heading to a wedding and it's quite a drive away, so we're going to be shooting this vlog from the road, so it might be a little noisier than normal. In this vlog, we are going to break down and explain the Ethics Commissioner's finding that Justin Trudeau contravened Section 9 of the Conflict of Interest Act. It's going to be amazing. I learned a lot while researching for this vlog, so it's been a learning experience for me, and I know it's about Justin Trudeau, but no, there are not going to be any sock jokes in this video, so if you came looking for a socks joke, you might be disappointed. Yeah, let's get dressed and go to that wedding. Booyah! Oh. Ow! No, it's not why.
It's not why?
You know that if you touch you wet the mic when it's recording, all people hear is we can't shoot in the car, so I'm gonna have to shoot the vlog at the actual wedding.
Wait.
I'll be back in a half an hour.
Where are you going?
Nowhere. Alright, so we gotta start from the beginning with this one. There's gonna be a lot of names and a lot of concepts to understand. Am I gonna be able to do this crouching? No choice. Okay, here are the players in this vlog. SNC Lavalin, which is Canada's largest ECP, which is an engineering, consulting, and procurement firm. They employ 50,000 people. They operate in 100 countries. They're Canada's largest construction company. Jody Wilson-Raybould is the former Attorney General of Canada, the first Native American woman to ever be appointed to the position. Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada. Mario Dion is Canada's Ethics Commissioner, and he just came out with a report called the Trudeau 2 Report, which concludes that Justin Trudeau breached Article 9 of the, what's it called? The Conflict of Interest Act, which is an act that is intended to regulate government officials in terms of how they conduct business and how they should avoid conflicts of interest. And just reading from the website of the Office of the Conflict of Interest Ethics and Commissioner, I think that's what it's called, whatever. Reading from their website, this is how they define their mission. The Conflict of Interest Act was passed as part of the Federal Accountability Act, which received royal assent on December 12, 2006. The Conflict of Interest Act came into effect on July 9, 2007. The act replaced the Conflict of Interest Code for public office holders, creating for the first time a legislative regime to govern ethical conduct of public office holders, both during and after employment. Compliance with the act is a condition of a person's appointment or employment as a public office holder. A number of important changes to the former rules set out in the predecessor code were introduced in the act. Notably, the act includes a definition of what constitutes a conflict of interest, provides for the imposition of administrative monetary penalties of up to $500 for a failure by reporting public office holders to meet certain deadlines, and give the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner the power to self-initiate examinations. So that is the general framework of the Conflict of Interest Act. Article 9, which Mario Dion concluded that Justin Trudeau breached, reads as follows. No public office holder shall use his or her position as a public officer to seek to influence the decision of another person so as to further the public office holder's private interests or those of the public office holder's relatives or friends, or to improperly further another person's private interests. Bear in mind for the rest of this vlog, that is the relevant provision defining what is the conflict of interest, the article that Mario Dion concluded Justin Trudeau breached, and we're going to get into it. I am sweating like a pig, but I am going to finish this vlog for you because I said I was going to do it, even if it means vlogging like a crazy person at a wedding. Commissioner Dion concluded that Justin Trudeau breached Article 9 of the Conflict of Interest Act, and where do we start with this? In 2015, criminal charges were brought against SNC Lavalin for bribery of foreign governments. At that time, there was no provision in the Canadian Criminal Code referred to as a remediation agreement or deferred prosecution. And that is basically a situation where you find a non-criminal resolution to criminal accusations. It did not exist in our criminal code in 2015. In 2016, SNC Lavalin begins to lobby for these reforms to be brought to the Canadian Criminal Code, and they were in 2018. So criminal charges were brought against SNC Lavalin in 2015 before the criminal code was amended to include for remediation agreements or deferred prosecutions as it was in 2018. Jody Wilson-Raybould is appointed Attorney General of Canada. Now, the Attorney General of Canada is a hybrid position. Hybrid, maybe two-headed is the word. Whatever. It is a double-faceted position. You'll notice between those jump cuts that I had to change knees because when you hit 40, your knees begin to fill with fluid when you kneel down for more than 30 seconds. All right, the Attorney General of Canada requires its own explanation. Now, we live in an era of acronyms. You've got the SCOTUS, you've got the POTUS, you've got JLO, you've got I don't know, who are the other ones? You got a bunch of other stuff. Well, we're no different in Canada. In fact, our Attorney General is called the MOJAG, M-O-J-A-G, which translates into the Minister of Justice and Attorney General. Now, these are two positions held by the same person. Don't ask why, it's a complicated question that goes back to the Constitution of Canada, but they are two separate positions held in one and the same person. And the Minister of Justice advises the federal government on policy. So to that extent, they answer to and serve the federal government insofar as they advise on policy. The Attorney General does not serve, so to speak, the federal government. The Attorney General decides what crimes to prosecute, what crimes not to prosecute, and to that extent the Attorney General has what is referred to as prosecutorial independence, or prosecutorial deference. Prosecutorial independence, meaning that they alone decide who to charge, who not to charge, what decisions ought to be made as relates to prosecutions. So Jody Wilson-Raybould, when she's wearing the Mojang hat, on the one hand is going to answer to the federal government when she is serving as the Minister of Justice, and on the other hand is going to act independently and without influence as relates to her capacity as Attorney General. Oh, so where do we go from this? I'm sitting down. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to get my suit dirty here. Oh, that's better. Okay, so what happens after SNC Lavalin is charged with crimes? They successfully lobby the government to include in the amendments to the criminal code these deferred prosecution agreements whereby they can sort of settle criminal accusations and criminal prosecutions in a non-criminal manner. Jody Wilson-Raybould, who is serving as Attorney General with her Director of Prosecutions making the decisions for and on her behalf as part and parcel of the same entity, decides that they are not going to enter into negotiations with SNC Lavalin because they don't think that this is a matter that ought to be settled. They believe that the interests of justice require that SNC Lavalin face criminal prosecution for the criminal conduct that they are alleged to have committed. Okay, what ends up happening? Well, Prime Minister Trudeau kind of wants there to be a non-litigious deferred prosecution, negotiated settlement to the criminal accusations that have been brought against SNC Lavalin. And that's what he does, but with a little bit too much vigor. He meets with Jody Wilson-Raybould on a number of occasions. It's all detailed in Mario Dion's report on this, the Trudeau 2 report, which is 63 pages and worth the read for anybody who has a day to dedicate to it. But he begins to meet with her, his cabinet members begin to meet with her and suggest, oh, do you really want to prosecute SNC Lavalin? It could be bad for Canada. You know, SNC Lavalin employs 50,000 people. If they were to face criminal charges, it could have very negative consequences on the economy. Incidentally, when the criminal charges against SNC Lavalin were announced, the stock dropped like 14% in one day or something along those lines. But he begins to pressure Jody Wilson-Raybould to say, wouldn't it be better if we had a deferred prosecution negotiated settlement to this dispute? And then he suggests to Jody Wilson-Raybould to potentially seek the advice of former justices of the Supreme Court of Canada. He suggests this to Jody Wilson-Raybould, knowing but not disclosing to her that SNC Lavalin has already retained 2 former justices of the Supreme Court, presumably in order to obtain an opinion, recommending that it would be in the best interest of Canada to resolve this through deferred prosecution as opposed to through actual prosecution. Okay. Conclude what you will about this. Some people are going to call it politics as usual. Others are going to call it rampant corruption. I'm not here to give you my opinion on it. These are just the facts. And to some extent, Justin Trudeau does have a point. It would have been very bad for the economy. Oh my goodness, this is not, I can't do it. Okay. Hi, you want to say hi to the internet? There you go. Oh God, we're done. I need 5 more minutes. You don't need me at the party with you.
Yes, he did.
Okay, go. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Please go. Please go. And to be fair to Justin Trudeau, there is a legitimate concern of the potential economic impact that might ensue from criminal charges being brought and pursued against SNC Lavalin. But Mario Dion's report, which is extremely well drafted and extremely thorough, refers to section 715(3)(2) of the criminal code, regardless what provision it is. I'm just going to read the section of the report because it's extremely pertinent. It must be reiterated that subsection 715(3)(2) of the criminal code lists 3 factors that must not be considered by the prosecutor in their decision whether to enter into negotiations to a remediation agreement. The prosecutor must not consider the, quote, national economic interest, the potential effect on relations with a state other than Canada, or the identity of the organizations or individual involved. And that basically means that in determining whether or not a party is to be invited to negotiate a remediation agreement, one must not consider national economic interests. So the fact that people might lose their jobs, or the fact that this might have negative impacts on the business of SNC Lavalin, are not considerations that Jody Wilson-Raybould or the Director of Public Prosecutions ought even consider in determining whether or not to enter into the remediation agreement. So Justin Trudeau, his cabinet members, meet repeatedly with Jody Wilson-Raybould to make her think twice about prosecuting SNC Lavalin as opposed to entering into a remediation agreement that was amended and inserted into the criminal code in 2018 following substantial lobbying by SNC Lavalin in 2016 after criminal charges were brought against him in 2015. The story is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, really. And when Jody Wilson-Raybould announces that she is not going to go back on her decision to prosecute SNC Lavalin as opposed to entering into a remediation agreement with them, her position is shuffled around as Attorney General, and she is shuffled out of that position into the Minister for Veterans Affairs, I believe. She is demoted after refusing to adhere to the non-pressure of Justin Trudeau and members of his cabinet to not pursue criminal charges against SNC Lavalin. All right, and this whole affair brings to the fore something called the Shawcross Doctrine, which is that of prosecutorial independence of a sitting attorney general in order to determine what crimes they prosecute and which crimes they don't. And why was this determined to be a violation of Article 9 of the Conflict of Interest Act of... Why was this deemed to be a violation of Article 9 of the Conflict of Interest Act? Why?
We just want to be in your vlog. What are we talking about today?
We were talking about the Justin Trudeau's violation of Article 9 of the Conflict of Interest Act. You know,
yeah,
entertaining stuff. I'll be there in 2 minutes.
Need a martini.
Is it an open bar?
It is an open bar.
Oh my god, this vlog is over! The reason why is that it was determined that Justin Trudeau was trying to improperly influence the decision of the prosecutorial independent, Jody Wilson-Raybould, for the benefit of third parties, that being the benefit of SNC Lavalin, presumably, and its principals. Now, what are the sanctions for all of this? I'm not 100% certain what the sanctions are. I don't believe that this can lead to a forced resignation of the Prime Minister or any public office holder. That being said, it does say that one has to adhere to this act as a condition of one holding public office, but I genuinely don't know what the ultimate sanctions are. I left a message with the Commission of Ethics, whatever. I left a message with the Commission just to see what were the potential sanctions other than monetary sanctions. I haven't gotten an answer yet, but I wanted to get this vlog out. I'll let someone who's smarter than me and who knows the law better than me answer in the section below what are the potential sanctions. I will pin that comment so you can all see that. Okay, I had better get back to this wedding or I may end up getting divorced at somebody else's wedding. If you like my content, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop a comment in the comment section below, share my video with anybody and everybody. It helps my channel grow, and now you know your vlog. And oh my gosh, oh, it sucks getting old. It sucks. Oh, my knees are done. That's not how you end a vlog. You end a vlog with peace out. Boom!